These men persuaded to come out of retirement.
One 4-hour job has been shortened to 6 minutes.
Why should anyone build the biggest truck in the world?
What international exposition stars equipment like this?
Where's the factory that puts smiles on little faces?
Industry on Parade. A brand new look at our America, produced on film each week by the National Association of Manufacturers.
Here's a veteran machinist who has retired and gone to Florida. Doesn't look like it, but he has. We're at the Lake Wales, Florida branch of Kurt G. Joe Incorporated of Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin, makers of machinery for the textile, metal, and woodworking industries. And you'll around, chat, and make sure the jobs they started in the morning aren't being botched up. But most of the time, they've got dates with each other for relaxations like shuffleboard. A number of the younger men these fellows are training will transfer up north to apply their newly acquired skills in the company's plant in Wisconsin, eventually replacing other old-timers ready to come down and get in on a little of this sort of thing. At an age when those northern winters seem to be getting colder every year, who would turn down the chance to combine the satisfactions of a job you've done all your life with plenty of leisure and the sunshine in which to enjoy it?
Many citizens ask, what would a balanced federal budget mean? The answer is that it would mean lower taxes, an end to government extravagance, and a stop to inflation, which results in higher prices and lowers the value of our money. Just as all citizens can help in the battle against inflation, we can also help achieve a balanced budget. We must remember that federal favors cost money, and we should refrain from seeking special help from the federal government. If we do our part, we can help make a stronger and better America.
Spectacles for a 19th century siren. Let's see how they used to make the lenses for the glasses that grandmother wore. It's a method that's persisted right up to the present and still is widely used, for the accuracy required in the resisted efforts to put it into mass production. A wooden block was covered with pitch, and after the excess was trimmed off, molded glass blanks were pressed into its surface, being held in place by the pitch. Great skill was required in thus preparing the blanks for the grinder, and even so, a large percentage were rejected because they weren't placed perfectly and consequently were not ground true. Into the grinder they went, there to rotate for 15 minutes. At regular intervals, abrasive powder mixed with water was squirted on these thinning lenses. This 15-minute rough grinding was only a beginning. It was followed by 4 hours of intermediate and final polishing, all very painstaking and all for nothing if there was the slightest miscalculation. But now at the Rochester, New York plant of Bausch and Lomb, let's see how they've licked this costly production problem, cutting the operation from hours to minutes, while increasing the accuracy of the lens and reducing the number of rejects to a fraction of what they were under the old method. And, oh yes, eliminating the film of jeweler's rouge that used to coat everything and everybody. First of all, here the lenses are milled individually. with the abrasive, the cooling agent, the degree of pressure, and all other factors automatically controlled. The 15-minute rough grind now takes 10 seconds. The hours of intermediate polishing are no longer necessary, and final polishing now takes about 5 minutes. So instead of requiring half a day, production of a lens is accomplished in less than 6 minutes. For many decades, the Germans had a virtual monopoly on the manufacture of good lenses. But the restrictions of a dictatorial government and the long strides taken by our own optical industries, operating under a system of free enterprise, put an end to that. And advances like those we've just seen make it highly unlikely that we'll ever be outdistanced again, in style, in quality, or in cost.
Biggest golf tee in the world? No, just a water tower. But this plant in Lyons, Illinois does turn out a product that's the world's largest. It's a truck that without its trailer tips the scales at a modest 25 tons. The Hendrickson Motor Truck Company makes the behemoth to haul coal in open pit mines. Needless to say, there isn't enough demand for carriers this big to put their manufacture on an assembly line basis. The power of its 400 horsepower engine is transmitted through 2 axles that run in tandem. On these 2 axles, there are 8 huge wheels, tires 1.5 feet wide and 5 feet high. The engine's so big and the compression ratio so high that mere batteries couldn't start it. They have to use compressed air. But despite its immensity, power steering and air brakes make it as easy to drive, they say, as a passenger car. Don't know about that. I wouldn't want to try to park this baby outside the 5 and 10. Nobody's going to worry about parking it anywhere, however, for it'll be kept busy around the clock, down in the coal fields, pulling 75 tons of coal at a time. And never mind whether there's a road or not. Think you might be able to use one for carrying home the groceries? Just write the company and ask for model BD 1500. And don't forget to enclose a check for $60,000.
At Tulsa, Oklahoma, it's a world's fair. That is, a fair for the world of petroleum. And visitors from more than 50 countries stream in to view $100 million worth of the tools and equipment used in locating, bringing up, refining, and distributing the products of the petroleum industry. Keeping us supplied with those products becomes a more complicated, expensive proposition with every passing year. And yet, increasing competition has brought a continuing program to cut costs and increase output. These are the machines that make it possible, and that's why they're the stars of this sprawling extravaganza. The exposition combines the features of a fair with those of an industrial museum, and the careful observer can add a great deal to his knowledge about this world we live in. There are small-scale working models demonstrating oil industry practices old and new. Also displays showing that petroleum is used not only as a fuel and lubricant, but in the making of chemicals and medicines, food, fertilizer, synthetics, and a host of other products. Outside, real rigs are in operation, drilling real wells, all of them dry, unfortunately. Expensive as all this equipment is, its big attraction lies in the fact that it will save money, savings that will be passed on to us, the consumers. Inevitably, any big event held in Oklahoma is going to attract Indians, especially since many of these original Americans are in the oil industry themselves. With restaurants all jammed, this will have to do for lunch. Who wants to take time out to eat anyway at the biggest single industry show on earth and only 10 days to take it all in?
Competition, the driving force in our American business system, compels an industry to satisfy the customer. Unless it comes with its competitors on price, quality, and service, it is eventually forced out of business. The business that pays its bills and makes a profit is a healthy business and is in a position to provide increasing benefits for employees, shareholders, and consumers. Competition benefits all customers continually through lower prices, higher quality, and improved services.
Two Atlanta women on their way to work. The little girls go along too, because mother's employer, like so many these days, has arranged it so that working mothers can tackle their jobs with minds completely free of worry about the little ones. While Mama's busy here at the Fulton Bag and Cotton Mills, she knows that little Jenny is in the best of hands at the fully equipped, expertly supervised nursery this company has operated for many years. The older children are off at school, and they'll come here when classes are out. Boys and girls of preschool age spend the whole day at the nursery, and what a fun-packed day it is. On this day, the presence of our cameraman is just one more wonderful facet of nursery life, much more interesting than washing up for lunch. In addition to a nourishing lunch like this, the little ones also get between meal snacks of milk, cereal, and orange juice. But before digging in, we don't forget from whom our blessings flow. At this age, everything is done with enthusiasm and great enjoyment, especially when it comes to stoking that boundless energy. And the supervisors have been able to make a pleasant game out of the daily nap. But today, the fascinations of the cameraman prove too attractive for some. The children, and their parents too, have free access to the services of the company clinic. Each child, on being admitted to the nursery, is given a thorough physical examination, and there are periodic checkups thereafter, along with vaccinations against the diseases of childhood. No wonder, in this period when industry needs the services of many of our womenfolk, even mothers can respond to the call with the comforting knowledge that their children are getting as good care and having as much fun as they would at home.